I'm so excited to have you here. I just want to pick your brain on so many health things.
Oh, yay.
Like,
I want to learn.
Daniella's digest.
Oh, okay. It's really sad that we call it clean eating.
Yeah.
It's like, this is actually how we're supposed to eat food
So
from the
true.
ground. Everything here is so fast paced. And in Italy, food is celebrated. Meals are 4 hours long. Manja. That connection of joy helps everything feel better.
You've been diagnosed with IBS?
Oh my gosh. Wild. Dropped so much weight. I remember being on the show. Wardrobe was like, these sizes you're down to like Abercrombie kid sizes.
How old were you on the show?
Did the pilot. I had my 19th birthday. Victoria's had like a decent impact or something.
The documentary.
Yeah.
Have you watched it?
No, I haven't. I've worked in this industry. It's not just Nickelodeon. It could take just one bad seed to now become the image of something that's so much greater than them.
Daniella,
Yeah.
welcome to The Squeeze.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Neighbors.
I love that. I feel like this is also special because I feel like you're the first guest we've had on that actually listens to our podcast.
Yeah. Well, I'm a podcast connoisseur. What can I say?
I love it. I love it. No, it was so fun. I don't know who emailed us, but someone from your team emailed and they were like, Daniella doesn't know I'm emailing, but would you want to have her on the squeeze? And we're like, oh my gosh,
I love that approach. She's done that to me with a couple others, and I'm like, stop.
No, it's so good. It's so good. You were on our list of guests, like, too.
No
we have
way.
a bunch of people on a list, and you were on there. So we were like, oh my gosh, yeah. Like,
Oh,
we just
how
haven't gotten
fun.
to that point in our list yet.
I love it. That's
so
awesome.
good.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having
It's
me.
an honor.
So fun. So fun. Okay, so we start each episode off with this little jar. It's a game called Citrus Got Real. If you want to pull a little question out of there.
Okay.
I know it looks like I planted that one, but I didn't. I just
calling my name.
I just had to place it there because they keep falling.
Okay. What is your go-to drink on an airplane?
That's a great question.
This is a great question. I'm tricky on an airplane because first of all, I don't drink. So I am like a bottled water if it's not Dasani.
As long as it's not
Yeah, or
Dasani.
like if it's not like Aquafina, like I would love a nice bottle of water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most airlines don't have nice bottles of water. They're
Are you-
mostly Coke product.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Are
a
you
different
like
story.
the no purified only
Yeah,
spring?
kind of.
We've transitioned to that too because of something.
Have we?
Doesn't know.
It's better that you don't even know.
Yeah.
It's better that you don't even
I think
know.
you're the one that pointed that out to me though.
What?
Like a why this was like a long time ago.
Okay.
That something came. I think we like watched a documentary.
Oh, yeah.
someone-
The
there
water
was
world is a lot. It's a lot to
Really?
unpack.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't even want to go there.
So if you're buying water bottles, you want to get natural spring water.
Yeah, and ideally in glass.
Right. Not in plastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's sometimes like you get what you get, you know, and you don't throw fizz. I tell my kids.
Yeah.
Is metal like in between plastic
Metal's
and
not
glass?
too bad. Yeah.
Okay.
Metal's not the worst. Yeah. I prefer glass just because I like the taste better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say overall, I'd say metal and glass.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're just like a nice bottle of water.
Yeah. And you know what? I might sound like a snob, but like I don't drink any sort of like sugary, like I'm not I don't,
Yeah.
you know, so it's like if I'm going to spend money on a beverage, like give me a nice bottle of water.
Yeah.
Like I've become
Nice
that girl.
bottle. Yeah.
Still or sparkling?
Still, ideally. And I do enjoy sparkling, but apparently it's not that great for you.
Really?
I've
Yeah.
heard that.
I've
Is
heard
it
it's
the,
a little, the process or something with the carbonation.
Okay.
And also like not supposed to be like great on the gut. But I do enjoy the taste.
I know.
And a little bubble once in a while.
My girlfriend like only drinks sparkling water, and I'm like, I don't know if that's good.
No, it's like
Yeah.
a treat for me.
It's a treat.
Like I can't do a lot of it.
Yeah.
I only do it if we're like, I have tummy problems.
Mm-hmm.
I only do it if I'm having a tummy problem, or if we're like about to go out and I know I'm gonna be like anxious.
Sure.
Then like mentally, I'm like, oh, I had some bubbles. My tummy's okay.
Oh, I love that.
That's like my weird. Or if we're out and I don't want to get a drink, I'll get that with like lime.
yeah.
Sparkling water. With
Same,
lime.
same.
What's your airplane drink?
A Sprite.
Oh, bubbly.
I'm
Look
a
at that.
Sprite through and through.
Girl for bubbles.
I had a Sprite yesterday. It was lovely.
Feels very nostalgic, Sprites.
Yeah.
Like, I don't find a lot of people drinking Sprites out of a can.
No.
Like, where are the Sprites in the world?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I drink them all. That's where they went.
She has a Sprite problem.
What is your drink of choice on an airplane?
I am weird.
Oh, okay.
Tomato juice.
On the rocks?
Yep.
Yep.
And now, unfortunately, 90% of airplanes don't have actual tomato juice or V8 juice anymore. They just have the spicy Bloody Mary mix. And I get desperate and I will do that.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
They just decided to simplify.
Yeah.
We're just getting simpler and simpler.
So most of the time I'm just drinking spicy Bloody Mary mix
Oh, nice.
on ice.
I actually don't mind the idea of that.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty good.
I know.
It's been crazy to see like my palate change from when we first like started dating. We were 20 when we met, and now I'm 27. Like how, like I didn't like wine, now I do. I didn't like mushrooms, now I do. Like I would never touch tomato juice. Now I can have like a Bloody Mary, or I'll like steal his tomato mix from him on the airplane.
Your palate has really,
Yeah.
Elevated.
I'm proud of you.
I don't know if elevated's the right word. It's gotten weird.
And just to clarify, which kind of mushrooms were those that you...
Ooh, yes.
From the garden
Oh.
Ooh, that doesn't give enough context if you ask me.
that you cook with.
Okay, still.
Thank you for clarifying that one.
Okay.
I don't know what those other ones are. Those scare me. Anyways, I'm so excited to have you here because I feel like I just want to pick your brain on like so many health things.
Oh, yay.
I know.
Like-
I want to learn.
Also just your energy. I was at, how long do you think that event was? How long ago?
What
The Brooke
event?
Burke one.
Oh, were you there?
At her
In
house.
Malibu? Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yes. And I saw you there and I was like, I wanted to come up and just introduce
you
myself, which I
should've.
like don't do. But you just like had this energy about you. And I was like, she seems so like nice and like, easygoing.
She
And I
seems
just
like sparkling water.
like sparkling water with a dash of lime. So truly since then, I feel like I watched Victorious growing up, so I've been a fan of yours. But after that, I was like, oh my gosh, she actually just like seems like really nice and like down to earth. So this is fun.
I feel like that was a while ago now.
Yeah, that
It
was a
was.
while ago.
it was one of my first like events that I went to.
It was a good one. I just happen to like MMPR, that company that
Yeah.
does a lot of those. So I always try to make it to their events.
Yeah. No, that was a fun one. But in doing my research and kind of learning about your health journey, I think it's crazy like how long you've like been vegan, but also how long your health journey has been. And I know I know you kind of struggled with health issues before, and that kind of got you on that journey. When did your first like health problems, let's call it, start for you?
Oh, that's a good question. When I was like a baby, I remember I was colicky, very colicky. And my mom and my nonna, my grandma would be like, she's got stomach issues from literally the day I was born. So yeah, I mean, that's literally the beginning of it all.
Wow.
You know, just unaddressed like gut health issues, or like, you know, thought maybe they were doing the right thing. And it's really tricky with infants. Now that I'm a mom, I can say this. It's like there are so many moms dealing with like babies having in like colic issues. And usually that stems from like, maybe it could be as much as like what you're eating and maybe feeding your, you know, nursing your baby, and whatever you're eating is upsetting their stomach, or like formula or environmental. So yeah, I mean, I think I realized at a young age how sensitive we were.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I had two thoughts that just popped in my mind on the note of babies being sensitive. Our good friends, she was breastfeeding and her baby was allergic to her breast milk.
Yeah.
Like, which I don't think I've ever really like heard of.
didn't know
And they
that
ended up
was
switching her to the formula that they had used with their other child, and she was totally fine. And then they ran out and she was like, oh, well, I'm still producing, let me see. And she ended up getting like the same kind of like allergic reaction. She was like really red.
And she was so fussy.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
like a not happy baby.
Yeah,
But
I
is
had
the
that too.
second
Yeah.
Yeah.
it went off of it.
It was
all of a
just so
sudden
crazy
she was
because
like,
you don't like think that's a thing. That's
Yeah.
just something they don't
so
teach you.
interesting when you, oh my gosh, the things you don't know about until you know about them, that you're
Yeah.
just like, oh my goodness, how do we even address this?
And so did you have like allergies? Because I had pretty severe colic as a baby, but I was like born lactose intolerant. Like I've always been like, I always say like I was like the original lactose intolerant because I wasn't
Before the trend.
I was like grew up drinking rice milk. Like I could never actually
Wow.
like have dairy. So I was curious if that was like something that you had.
It's possible, but like, so my mom's side's Italian, and I find that like culturally, like looking at diet and nutrition wasn't like a common thing. Like no one was trying to dwindle down to like root cause.
Yeah.
I feel like just now I'm now hearing people say like, well, let's get to the root cause. Like let's not put a Band-Aid on it.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it wasn't something that I knew of growing up. I kind of just ate whatever. And I learned by trial and error as I got older what things kind of felt good. And it wasn't always food necessarily. It was more like understanding how to mitigate my own response to like environmental issues or stress or whatever it may be, lack of sleep, lack of whatever.
Yeah.
Because I find that there are some people that could eat anything they freaking want,
Yeah.
but they've got such a good grip on themselves and their disposition that like they understand coping and breathing and, you know, moving your body and that sort of thing. But it goes both ways. It's like, I think the combo, like having a good wellness practice and then also having a good nutrition it really is like the sweet spot.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like over the past couple of years, I've really like honed into diet. I think since moving close to an Erewhon really changed. It changed how we eat and our wallets.
Certainly.
It's so expensive. But because of how clean the food like actually is, I've noticed like because I've had so much stomach issues, eating like actual like clean food has really made like a big difference for my gut. Like it's crazy how much I've seen that.
Isn't it crazy too, and you can speak way more towards this than I can, but how much your gut affects like your mood and like your mental being?
They say it's like your second brain.
Right.
Yeah, it is
So
pretty
crazy.
amazing.
No.
And
I
it
feel
goes
that.
so ignored.
Yeah.
You know, for so many years, I did not even for a second acknowledge, you know, my gut. I always would be like, oh, I just feel a certain type of way, or I have stomach issues or sensitivities or IBS. I mean, there was labels for everything under the sun. But we don't realize how much actual control we have. And to piggyback on what you said about clean eating and the difference that you feel, it's really sad that we call it clean eating.
Yeah.
It's like, no, this is actually how we're supposed to eat. Like it's food
So
from the
true.
ground, and we're not using a lot of processed ingredients and like weird oils and whatever else. It's like, that's how it's supposed to be until like big food came in and was like, hey, we're going to commercialize and industrialize and, you know, unfortunately make so many people sick as a benefit of like our pockets.
Yeah. Clean eating today is what eating
It was
used
what
to be.
eating should be and was. Yeah, for sure.
And what eating is in other countries.
Totally.
Yeah. Our friend was just in Italy and she was like, I, for every meal, literally ate pasta and pizza for actually every meal for 2 weeks. And she was like, I came home and I lost weight.
100%.
Like, it's freaking
There's
wild.
also something to be said about, and I don't think there's enough people talking about this, but like the food and the connection we have to like food and the joy that we're missing. Like everything here is so fast paced and there's so much about convenience that like no one's really having a connection to like their process of food. In Italy, food is celebrated. Meals are 4 hours long. Like people are like, keep it coming, like manja. And here it's kind of like, all right, I'm grabbing a bar and a smoothie or whatever it is, you know, and it's just different. Like people are
So
enjoying
true.
themselves and like that connection of joy helps everything feel better.
Yeah. Dang,
We
that's
love
so true.
nothing more than food being an experience.
Yeah.
Love that.
Have you ever stopped and wondered why are so many dogs suffering from health issues? Well, actress Katherine Heigl, who's helped save over 16,000 dogs through her foundation, says that she's seeing more issues with dogs' joints, odors, and health than ever before. And after doing a ton of research, she feels that one place we can look to improve any dog's health is their food. What she discovered is that the way many dogs' food are made can actually create toxins that could be wrecking our dog's health. And this is true even for many premium dog brands. Fortunately, she found by just adding a few special superfoods to her dog's food, she saw a huge transformation in their health. She's made a 20-minute video explaining step by step how anyone can do the same thing to see incredible changes in their dog's health. You guys need to go check out this video. It's amazing, but it is so important to think about our dogs because we are so quick to be like, oh, my health, my wellness. But here we are, you know, giving our dogs this food that is just not good for them. And we really need to stop and consider our pets' health and wellness. And watching this video definitely gave some very helpful tips on how to do so. So go to badlandsfood.com/squeeze and watch Catherine's video right now. Again, that's Badlands, BADLANDSFOOD.com/squeeze. So the hot weather is here. There's no escaping it. And it's so important over summer. And I mean, all the time, but especially now, we need to make sure we stay hydrated. And truly the best way to do that is by including electrolytes into your everyday routine. I didn't realize this, but electrolyte deficiency or imbalance can cause headaches, cramps, fatigue, brain fog, and weakness. And it's something that is just so easy to implement into your everyday routine. And that's why I love Element so much. Element is a zero sugar electrolyte drink mix born from the growing body of research revealing that optimal health outcomes occur at sodium levels 2 to 3 times the government recommended amount. Each stick pack delivers a meaningful dose of electrolytes free of sugar, artificial colors, or any of those other dodgy ingredients. Element is formulated for anyone on a mission to restore health through hydration and is perfectly suited for athletes, people who are fasting, those on keto, low carb, whole food, paleo, whatever your diet may be. It's so important to implement these things into our routine. And it's so simple. You don't even need to think about it. And it's something, Taylor struggles to drink water. So having a flavor in there or something to go back to drink to is something that is it helps so much. You can get your free Element sample pack with any purchase at drinkelement.com/squeeze. Also, try the new Element Sparkling, a bold 16-ounce can of sparkling electrolyte water. I love sparkling water, so this is my go-to. Go ahead and check them out. That's drinkelement.com/squeeze. You've been diagnosed with IBS? Do you have it?
I was. I was
when
I
the
was
story
younger.
behind that?
Oh my gosh. So it was around the time when I was on my, I had gotten my first show, and it's like heightens or emotions or all the things. Like you're riding the ride. And I think around that time, just a combination of stress and whatever else, I was having like problems with my stomach and digesting food. And I went to a doctor and they diagnosed me with IBS. They put me on this stuff called Zelnorm. Actually, they put me on more than that. They put me on Miralax. They put me on Senecol, which is like, now I don't know if it's over the counter, but it was basically just like a laxative that you could buy at the store. And they put me on Dulcolax. Oh my gosh, so many lax.
Jeez.
And basically what it did was destroyed me.
Were you... Sorry, this may be TMA.
No,
were
please.
you having problems?
Yes.
Were you constipated?
I was constipated, but the thing that wasn't being addressed was like huge lifestyle shift. I grew up in the Valley. I had to drive almost 2 hours to 20th Century Fox in traffic every morning. Like I'm now not around like peers and family, and I'm eating craft service all the time, and I'm working weird hours, and I'm doing run-throughs, and there's stress and like other pressures and whatever else. And meanwhile, stuff at my family was kind of like going on. My parents were going through a separation. It was just a lot at one point. And now I can look back and say, well, that seems like there's quite a bit of environmental stuff that was happening, right? But at the time, everyone was just trying to diagnose the problem.
Yeah.
They weren't saying like, oh, she might be stressed. Maybe she's not sleeping enough. Maybe she's not drinking enough water. Maybe she's not getting the best nutrition. Like maybe she's not having time to like move her body properly. So I was put on all of these meds, and it was wild, you guys. Like I was a healthy 15-year-old girl. Again, TMI, sorry, Taylor. But I got my period at 15, and then I lost it until I was almost 20 years old because I had dropped so much weight from being on all these meds. Basically, if you could imagine, you would eat food.
It would just go right
out
of
you. It would really like come right out of me. And it was so uncomfortable. I was always in pain. I was always in my head. Dropped so much weight. I remember being on the show, and Wardrobe was like having conversations with the network, and they were like, you're dropping all these sizes. You're down to like Abercrombie kid sizes, and they're letting the hem out of the jeans like to make them longer because I had no waist. I was literally like at my lowest, maybe like high 70 pounds at like 16 years old. I remember being like in my bed at one point, and like the mattress would hurt me at night. Like I'd wake up, my body would be numb. Like I was so thin. And everyone was trying to like look at me and say like, is she throwing up? Is she anorexic? Is she having, sure, there was a lot of these pressures all around me, but like, you can't ignore the part about like all these new meds being in me. And funny enough, not funny, but I remember when Zelnorm went off the market and there were like, we were getting mail from lawyers at the time saying like, you have a case here because you were on like an illegal dose for your age and weight and everything. And that it was like giving people heart attacks.
Really?
Because it was like you would take it and it felt like, and I've never been on drugs, but like it felt like crack, like you're just like on one.
What was that for?
Yeah.
So it helps, like, I guess the idea was that it helped contract your colon. Like it literally sped up your metabolism to the point where it was just like you were always revving. It was like, imagine having coffee, like your morning coffee. And it's like that on steroids.
Oof.
Oh.
Yeah. 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 So that was the experience with that. And that was actually a really empowering time because once I realized that like it was so much coming at me at one time, I had to like take the reins. Like I remember saying to my mom, like, I'm not going to the doctor. I'm not taking this. Like, I'm not going to do these things. Like, I'm going to try it my own way. And that was when I really discovered what, like, I guess what you would call today is like holistic wellness or, you know, that sort of, like, that was the approach that I decided to take. And let me tell you, going from that weight to about 130 pounds in a very short period of time was a ride, mentally, physically, emotionally. But just like anything else, like your body, I tell my kids this every day, your body is amazing and your body keeps the score. And my body did just that. It had to do what it had to do to get to a point where I felt my best again, but it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah. How long were you taking the medication and then when did you decide to stop?
It was basically the whole time that I was on this show, unfortunately. So like about a year or 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and I stopped when I was off the show. And I honestly think, if I'm being 100% honest, like I think I was addicted to it too.
I mean, probably.
Because there was like an element of like, not withdrawal, but I remember being off of it and just feeling like sluggish, just out of it. Like, talk about going from like one thing going into your mouth and coming right out. Like I was constipated to another level after the fact because like they called my colon after that a floppy colon. Like there was like no grooves in it. You guys, this is TMI, but like it was literally not doing what it was supposed to do. It was a broken colon. So I'm like, this was so silly.
Had you had a colonoscopy? Like,
I did. I had an endo. Endo one.
Okay.
Yeah. 17 years old. And here I am I was like, just like, come on.
Yeah.
It was like, I did all the damage. It solved no problem except for temporarily. And it made me extra sick. And then I had to like go back to the drawing board and realize like, wait a second, there's other things that I can acknowledge here that like that medicine could have never fixed.
Yeah. Yeah. I had like very similar
Really?
things with that. I never like.
Were you diagnosed?
I don't think I wasn't diagnosed with IBS till like I was probably, we were together.
We were?
Yeah, because we were together when I had my colonoscopy.
Oh, that's when you were properly diagnosed?
Yeah.
Like
I think it was hard because I had always had stomach issues, but it was because I was lactose intolerant. I think there was just, and there wasn't oat milk and almond milk and all these things like there is now. So, and you know, as a kid, it's like, I remember so many times as a kid, I'd be at a friend's house and like, one of my friends I was growing up with, we loved to bake and we would always bake food. And I remember we would always make like chocolate cake and I would want a glass of milk with it because it tasted so good with it. And I would literally be like in the bathroom the whole rest of the night, like coming out of both ends, so sick. But, and like as a kid, you don't like, you don't realize the consequences that doing an action like that has. Now I literally like repulse milk and I'm like, I can't, like the taste of it is just like, I can't even have. But I ended up having an endoscopy when I was a senior in high school because same type of thing with medication wise. I ended up getting really sick, had what one doctor thought was a sinus infection, took a round of antibiotics, ended up getting like much worse. Came back, they were like, oh, actually you have pneumonia, but it's in both of your lungs. So then they ended up giving me a stronger medication. And then I was still just as sick, came back. And then they were like, oh, you actually have mono. And so I had all the medications
for,
I had all of those things at once. This was like end of my senior year, I was having like my final dance competitions, my recitals, or like powder puff football game, like all of like graduation, all of these things that I was just like, I look back at the photos and I'm like puffy because I was just like so sick and was on so many meds.
Inflamed.
But because I was on all these meds, it literally burnt the
Lining.
the little sphincter that connects my like esophagus to my stomach. It literally just shredded it. And so I ended up losing a bunch of weight because I couldn't eat food because everything just burned so bad. And so I had it and they were like, oh yeah, well you need to like go on this like special diet for a little bit till that heals. But to this day, I struggle with it because the lining of, I mean, I've been talking the past couple of days. I think I have to go back because I've been eating any food that is like the slightest like acidic. I'll put it in my mouth and like instantly, like it was like, I've been feeling like the back of my throat. I'm like eating really spicy food.
It's been very strange.
It's been
the
very
last like
weird.
week or two. She's been like, "Is this like really spicy? Because it's burning my throat right now." And I'm like, "No." And I'm like a wuss with spice.
But it's so important we talk about these things though, because like people don't, and like now that holistic medicine and like all these things are starting to be more than just like this weird like niche thing. It's like becoming more popular. It's so important because if someone would have, you know, I mean, I did have to take some of those medications because I was sick, but like medication isn't what caused me all these issues. And, you know, there could have been other remedies there.
Such a tricky balance. It's so funny. It's like it goes back to the holistic piece is interesting to me because it's like if we were to just treat ourselves as if we were like ages ago, we would really just be like people being really like in tune with our bodies.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've taken that intention away over the years because we've relied so much on other people telling us how to feel and what we feel and how to fix it.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, like that should have never been our go-to. We should always try and like be really present with ourselves and really conscious because at the end of the day, like, yes, thank goodness we have modern medicine for so many reasons.
Yeah.
But if we don't know, you know, more about ourselves, we're going to end up over medicating. And then also there's the fear of like us becoming immune to certain things and like these things never working, you know, like everything should be sort of, I don't know, I'm no expert, believe me, you are, but like, I look at it as like, they should be like last resort in some regard. Like we should be our own advocates before we have to like take measures that could have other symptoms, right?
Yeah.
Because then we're like now having to fix the symptom from the symptom.
Yeah. Well, that's like one of the biggest things I learned like during nursing. I learned a lot of things, but like you're treating a patient because this one medication is making them have this, but they're taking that medication because this one's making them have that. And it's just like, it just like keeps going.
Sure.
And so that was really eye opening to me because I'm like, this person's having these issues, but it's because like two different doctors gave them opposing medications and they're literally counteracting each other. And then this person's having, you know, this really bad side effect that they're now having to take this other medication for.
Yeah.
So it's just like trying to like fine tune things and like simplify things and also like making sure like patients would have doctors that just like wouldn't be talking and like just be a bunch of different doctors prescribing them stuff and then they just take it because, you know, we put all of our trust into, you know, doctors.
It's so backwards. Like, forgive me for my ignorance, but like, and I was only going to speak to the nursing piece of this because I find that nurses have a much better connection with patients because, and there's a different, like, there's less of an agenda. You know, like I feel like doctors come in like the superheroes at the end of the movie and they're just like, I got this. And you're like, wait,
then peace out.
And then it's like, wait a second. Like there is like a human connection that I feel like sometimes doesn't always exist just because of the way that the nature of medicine works. Like you're with your patient more often, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the doctors have so many patients, but also there's so many, like the doctors in the hospital, they all have their specific field. Like there's a cardiologist, there's like an endocrinologist, there's, you know, someone for your stomach, someone for this, someone for that. Like they're all like so like specialized that I feel like the nurse, like our job is to like look at it as a whole because you have to talk to all of those doctors and you have to look at all the labs and then you have to make sure everything is like cohesive. So I think that's why nurses have that like vibe to them. That's why it's really important to have like a primary doctor or someone, whether it's, you know, an actual, like not an actual one, a stereotypical primary doctor or a holistic doctor, someone that is like knows you, that is like your person and can look at everything you're taking and like figure it out. Because that was the biggest thing I saw is I was like, I so many times would tell patients, like when they're discharged, like in their paperwork, like you need to bring this to your doctor and they need to like look through this and talk through this with you, because some of the stuff you don't like
Sure.
necessarily need to be taking. Like not
That's so helpful
not,
to know.
I'm not claiming to say they should be taking it or not. I'm not a doctor, but
Right.
there would be multiple things on there that either are doing, like how you were literally on like 3 laxatives.
Yeah, why?
Like that doesn't.
Why? One works, right?
Yeah, like try one, and then if it doesn't work, up the dose or switch to another one. You know, so that was a big thing that I saw. I did want to ask though.
Yes.
You touched on this. So when you went off the medication, you ended up like gaining all of your weight back. How was that like being in the industry, because it is such a thing to be skinny and to be small? How was that? Did you struggle with that mentally?
Yeah. Yeah, because there was like, before I became too skinny, there was a part that was celebrated.
Right.
There was like a part where it was like, you look great on camera.
Right. You're just perfectly
And there was
thin.
so much hype at that point in my career where I was like getting a taste of what that felt like gallery shoots and covers and things like that like I'd never experienced before. And then once the weight came back and then some, I had none of that. I had like kind of the opposite, where it was almost like things slowed down. I did have some people in my ear around like, what's going on here? You know, like there was certainly like a magnifying glass on me gaining weight. And that was a really weird time, because I realized like what do I do? Like I didn't know what to do. I was kind of just like trying to get well while feeling not great, of course, because I was like not getting fed the right messaging, but also like I wasn't doing what I loved. Like I was in a lull of like work.
Yeah.
I was in a lull of like not really understanding my health and how to like have it back and feel my best. So yeah, it was challenging. It was weird. It was yeah.
How did you get out of that?
Well, I think it was just my body was just doing what it needed to do until it like leveled out. There was really no like special trick. Like I think I really became as conscious as possible with myself. I understood what foods made me feel good. I had to find my happiness again. Like I really had to find my happiness. And it's interesting because when I met my now husband, this was like 14 years ago, I felt like I never thought about anything regarding my health ever again. It was weird. It was almost like I had so much time and energy that I had spent focusing on like, well, what am I eating? What am I not doing right? Am I, am I sleeping enough? Am I drinking enough? Am I moving my body enough? And then I became like so in love for the first time that the only thing that mattered was like how happy I was. And that was like honestly the cure all for everything. Like it really was, like I realize now that sometimes we just need to like take a back seat and like look at things from like a greater picture and not hyper focus on all these different ailments and just focus on the things that actually bring us real joy, because then it kind of falls into place. Like my body just started to regulate, like my period came back. Like I started to enjoy my food and like not think too hard. I loved moving my body. Like I realized I needed those endorphins. So I wasn't like ignoring working out anymore. Like I was just being me and I was finding the balance again.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
That's so special.
That's really sweet.
I feel like I relate to that with Taylor. Like,
right?
I just feel like it was a lot of, or I like worried about, I definitely still worry about things. But I just felt like my view on like, I'm an only child. So I always wanted to be a mom. I always wanted to be a wife, like ASAP. When I met Taylor, I was like, oh, like I actually just really enjoy being with him. I'm not in a rush at all. And now I feel that same way with like being a mom. I'm like, I actually just really enjoy our time together and like getting to do life together, which is just like so crazy how it's like flip-flopped.
Yeah.
From just like finding your person.
It's like that hyper focus. You think you know what you want, but you never really know until like, and then you're like, whoa, this caught me off guard. And now I'm like the happiest I've ever been. And I need so little.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Yeah. Were you and your husband together or friends, or were you knowing each other when you were on Victorious, or how old were you?
Yeah, at the very like tail end of Victorious. I remember when I started dating him, I brought him to set, and it was just like,
Oh, wow.
who's this guy? You know, like, you know how it is when you're on set and you're like, you bring someone and it's like, everyone's like, oh, this is him. This is the guy. Yeah, it was the first time. Well, actually, no, I brought one other guy once, and that was a very short-lived situation.
Wait, how old were you on the show?
Okay, so when I did the pilot, I had my 19th birthday. So I was always older than everyone by like 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, so towards the tail end, I met Andrew when I was like just about 22.
Wait, how old are you?
I'm 34. 5. Thank you. Okay, here's the thing. When you like hit 32, I ever since 32, I've forgotten what I'm like.
I need your skincare routine because I've literally just been like staring at your skin this
Really?
whole time. Like,
Thank you.
actually, I have been.
Thank you so much. I'm like not a routine person, but
gosh.
thank you very much.
She's
It's
like,
working,
I just eat
whatever
plain
it
and
is.
it
No, I
shows.
try. No, I do things for sure, but like I never do like one thing like every day.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, I feel like whatever I feel, I just do. And
Yeah.
use. I use new products all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And how long did the show run for? How long did you guys
Gosh,
film?
that's such a confusing question because it was like 3 full seasons maybe, but it felt like 5 years of my
Really?
life.
It was
Wait.
only 3 seasons?
You guys, I'm pretty sure
How
it was
many
like
episodes?
60 or 70 episodes, like if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Wow.
Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah, it definitely feels like it was.
And that's what's interesting
longer-
about the Victorious thing is like more like there are definitely other shows that have gone longer, but for some reason Victorious had like a shorter run, but like a pretty
Bigger
decent
impact or
impact or something. Yeah.
This looks like season
Was I
one.
right or no?
It says 4 seasons.
Oh, I was wrong. Yeah. Don't ask me.
And you were on from the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. When you look back to that time in your life and Nickelodeon, do you mainly have positive thoughts or?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
Yeah, I really do. I feel lucky that I can say that.
Yeah.
There were certainly times, the difference was like I was an adult, like a young adult. Imagine being like 19, 20, I'm starting for the first time since I didn't go to high school. It was the first time that I had ever like thought about dating and, and I always prided myself. I'm sure you guys heard this growing up. It's like, oh, you're an old soul. So I always felt like, oh, like I'm an old soul and, I can hold my own. I moved out at a young age. I was like 17 and thought I could carry my own. And I think working in children's TV was really good for me. And I also feel like I learned a lot about myself, like how to advocate for yourself or maybe how I maybe didn't advocate for myself. And it was a good working condition, I would say. For the most part, I feel like I got out of that feeling like I learned a lot. I had a great time. My cast, one of the few projects I worked on where we still talk and we're still friendly and we still care about each other a lot. And a lot of the cast, like the crew, people I still keep in touch with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, what I meant to say is like to sum up the Nickelodeon experience in general is like I was still working in a grown-up world.
Yeah.
It was a kid show per se, but like it certainly is a grown-up world. You're still like in an adult, mostly adult environment. So I think like I feel grateful that I was old enough to recognize that like this is a professional world. Like how can I be the most professional so that I can maintain a professional like atmosphere for myself? Because just like any other project, like things can get a little like there's no HR.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's no like standards and practices like being micromanaged every day. So like people can make jokes, people can say condescending things, people can do things that aren't kosher in most environments. But like for the most part, I feel like it was a really great experience and I'm like grateful for it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So I feel like this is just this summer of wellness. I've really been trying to implement things to help my overall wellness and health, like working out, eating healthy, being outside, getting in the sun, also using sunscreen. But something that's always been a constant for me and has been for quite some time. And if you've listened to this podcast or you follow me on social media, or if you're a friend of mine, you know that I cannot go a single day without taking my Seed DSO1 Daily Symbiotic. I am obsessed with this product. I've literally been taking it for so long. I've been trying to remember actually how long I've been taking it. A minimum of 2 years. Every single day I take it, and I have just noticed so many differences in my overall health and how it impacts my gut health. It just helps regulate the flow of digestion and helps me stay regular. But not only like gut health, but there's so many more benefits to Seeds DSO1, like skin health, your gut barrier integrity, dermatological health. It's really the best. I can't like rave about a product more because I've seen what it's done in my own life. And I'm so passionate about having other people take it because I want you guys to see and feel the effects of it as much as I have. So you guys should really check it out. Support your gut health this summer with Seeds DS01 Daily Symbiotic. Go to seed.com/thesqueeze and use code 25thesqueeze to get 25% off your first month. That's 25% off your first month of Seeds DS01 Daily Symbiotic at seed.com/thesqueeze, code 25thesqueeze.
We watched the documentary.
Yeah.
Have you watched it?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No.
Is that
I've
like
heard a lot about it and been tagged in like reels and stuff. So
is that
I've
like
seen
an
stuff.
active choice for you not to watch it?
Yeah. I mean, what I saw, my heart broke, you know, especially for the people that I know and I reached out to. It was sad to see that happen. And I actually just had like a moment recently where I was like, man, I grew up with Nickelodeon. My parents didn't pay for Disney. It was the show I got, the channel I got. And I have still this like vision of what Nickelodeon is for me. And it feels really special.
Yeah.
Because it was like my childhood and those core memories still feel real to me today. And being on Nickelodeon for me was like an honor. I could have gone the Disney route. I mean, I went the Disney route before Nickelodeon. But there was a part of me that like, and either one would have been great and I got a taste of it. But like, I was really proud to be on Nickelodeon. Like I felt really lucky. So seeing like people tear it apart and like have really bad experiences that like shaped their lives forever and impacted them in ways that I can't even imagine, like hurts. And I hate to say this, but like you guys, it's I've worked in this industry. It's not just Nickelodeon. Like it wasn't a Nickelodeon specific thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there were a lot of situations for me growing up on certain sets where I was just like, you know, it just, yeah.
Do you feel like, looking back, I mean, you just said, you know, you feel special and proud. Do you feel like it's been hard to keep that view of it since, you know, the documentary has come out and all of these things have been said? Do you feel like it's been hard to kind of like mentally keep that view of it? Or do you just feel like that is what you experience and that's how it is for you?
It's so weird because like I still know a lot of people who I guess technically were a part of Nickelodeon, whether they're creators, producers, casting, whatever. And like I know them, I know their heart. And I can say that wholeheartedly and realize like it could take just one bad seed or two bad seeds to now become like the image of something that's so much greater than them. Yeah. So I think that's unfortunate, you know, and I do think that there should be better practices in place. And I actually know that there are now. Like you got to imagine, like I don't even know, I'm not involved with Nickelodeon at the moment, but like imagine what they're doing right now. Like if they weren't already, which I think they were because they've changed over from the head up like 5-6 years ago. Like things shifted dramatically after my time there.
Yeah. It's always tough when you have, because I've certainly had this with multiple things, when you have a great experience with something, but, you know, then other people that have the same experience of you just think about it, you know, so much differently. It's like, it's just tricky because it's like I often want to be like, I can only judge, you know, what I saw and went through.
Yeah.
But yeah, you of course want to be sensitive to everybody else. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I can't speak towards that. Like for me.
Yeah. No, we definitely had some guests on that, you know, have been child actors and they were like, I hated it. If I could go back, I would not have put myself in it. Like those kind of outlooks. And then like Taylor is like, I had the best time doing Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I was like on like summer camp. Like, so it's crazy like how like it's similar things, different environments, but
Yeah.
it's a crazy thing.
Yeah.
Do you think that you will want your kids to act?
It's a good question. Right now, not so much, just because like it was so much work.
Yeah.
Like it was so much work. Like I didn't go to school. I didn't get to like do a lot of things that normal kids did. Yeah, I think I want them to have like I honestly just selfishly want to know what normal life is for them, you know? Like what does a dance feel like? Like what is like getting ready for a game or whatever feel like? Yeah.
Yeah, you just miss out on so much normalcy.
Yeah.
And then I feel like later in your life, you're like looking to try and make up for it. And it's just difficult.
It's just weird. Did you ever feel like socially awkward or like awkward in relationships?
Oh, yeah, I still do.
Okay, me too. I feel that way all the time.
Yeah. I mean, luckily for me, I went to public school like always through 10th grade, and I got my GED after my sophomore year of high school. But I was always in school.
That's cool.
And I think maybe that helped.
But there's definitely still things that like I did like that you didn't do. And I'll like,
Oh, yeah.
I'll say things like, oh, I did this. And like my senior year, we would
I'll be
go
like,
do this
wow,
and this.
you guys do that?
He was like, what? Like he was like appalled. I was like, everyone does it. What are you talking about?
There's
like-
just an aspect of life that, I didn't experience.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very not common question for us. Well, I guess it is a common question for us, but
Yeah.
I think Taylor's answer is no. I think if they want to do it on their own and they're like, oh, look at Dad, I want to do what Dad does, then we're not going to be like, lock them in the house and say no.
I'm not going to crush anybody's dream,
Sure.
but I'm not going to be like promoting it.
Yeah.
It's weird because like we can both sit here and go like, I'm so grateful for everything I've been through. But like there's a blend in which like I feel like my kids can also feel that excitement and joy I had around acting, but like maybe in a different outlet.
Yeah.
You know, like they can thrive in like sports or hobbies or whatever they're interested in. And like that could be really fun too. That I just didn't know I could have had because I was like getting such a high from work stuff.
Yeah.
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 So true. Okay, let's talk about Daniella's Digest.
Oh, okay. Let's do it.
Very excited. So it's kind of healthy recipes, clean products, just like healthy lifestyle in general. What made you want to start this?
I love it. It's like it's like my everyday. And it's like, I would say it's my passion, but it comes natural for the most part. It comes back to just everything. Like I love helping people to feel that connection with like their intuition again. And I think again, like we have gotten a little too far away from the things that like really matter and some of those like simpler elements of life that make us feel our best. And so Daniella's Digest was an outlet for me to not even educate. I'm not at all an expert, but we have expert coaches on the platform that are there for whoever is a member. Wow. But it's at a cost that I felt was really fair for everyone, because I remember being vegan. Now it's been 25 years, but I remember feeling like at one point, or even just along the way, like, who do I talk to if I like want to know if there's a better way of doing things, right? Because now, of course, with like there being so much noise around like the AB diets and, you know, keto and all these things, it's like, if you're someone who wants to just eat more plants, you don't have to be vegan. Or if you just want to learn more about like the benefits of having a plant-rich diet, this is a really empowering resource that's literally like a couple dollars a week or something comes out to, and you have access to thousands of recipes. You get access to all of these deals on products and home goods and appliances and things that like have changed my life. Like, you know, things that I have, you know, now a membership discount for these people. And then we also do weekly articles on topics that I think are really interesting. So like we drill into certain things I feel like I like to say are like borderline controversial now, like when it comes to like different remedies and different, you know, like like let's talk about supplements, talk about kid snacks. Let's talk about how we handle like summer school, whatever it may be. Like if your kids are out of school, like how do we keep them busy? How do we be mindful about all the things in our lifestyle? That kind of comes back to like that conscious intuition, like harnessing that conscious intuition. So yeah, that's it, sort of in a nutshell.
How long have you been doing it?
Well, I started the Instagram probably like 10 years ago as like,
Wow.
it was kind of a weird thing because I was like, how do I create more like conversation around the things that I love? So it was like very like advocate-y at that time. It was like memes and funny things that I felt were like that were more in line with like me being an advocate for being vegan. And it's since evolved tremendously.
Yeah.
So just for context, like I am vegan technically, but my husband's not. My kids are not. Most people would be surprised to hear that. I don't really like say it very often, but I am so much more about like intuitive eating than I am about being vegan for just to be vegan. Like I want people to like understand more about what makes them tick and how their bodies feel best. I do believe that like eating a plant-rich diet does assist in that, like especially when we're talking about the microbiome and our gut health. Like we can't ignore the fact that like fiber and all these nutrients really do come from the earth, and they come through the earth and then come into food, which is what we eat, plants. But I don't think that like it's the end all be all for everyone. So I just want to encourage people to like do what's best for them.
I love that. It's so inviting too, because I feel like there's definitely some vegans that are like shun you if you're not a vegan, and like that approach. I mean, even just from
but it's like never worked.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's not. Yeah, it never works. Like I want everyone to feel like if they're interested in it, that they can at least like try it.
Yeah.
And if it's not for you, it's not for you. But at least like, I don't know. I think I just have a lot of respect for everyone and where they are in a lot of different ideologies. Like I like being the person who can like listen to everyone's points of view and realize that like everyone is seeing life through a different set of lenses, and I'll never be able to be the exact same as someone else. And I can learn from them, and I can disagree, and I can have my own opinion, but like we can all still be friends.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so good. Is there like, this is a very broad question. What are like your biggest, even like right now, like your biggest wellness tips, or like the things that you are like so passionate about? Like if you were to come in here and like, we were like, what's 5 things we can do to like change our life, or like whatever,
Sure.
like what are some of those like big things for you?
I'll just kind of go through like my day of things that I feel really good about.
Yeah.
So all I can do is like cause and effect. Like when I do this, I feel good.
Yeah.
I got rid of alcohol about 1.5 years ago now. And I know that when I taste it, I don't enjoy it. So I'm like, that triggers a feeling that I'm like not interested in right now. And so naturally I'm like, I feel good being sober. Like I actually do feel really good. Coffee was another one that kind of went simultaneously with it.
Okay.
I just got a sauna, which I'm obsessed with. Yeah. Really big advocate for it right now.
We need to get ours.
Infrared or?
Yeah, an infrared sauna.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm vibing with it. At first I was like, is this going to be an adult toy that I like think is cool for like 5 minutes? But I'm like, I hopped in there 20 minutes while my kids were playing out in the backyard, and I felt like a new woman coming out of it. I'm like, this is it.
Do you then cold plunge?
I don't. Like I will do a colder shower. Emphasis on colder. I just am like, I don't know. I'm not into the torture so much, but like the heat doesn't necessarily feel like torture to me.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm getting like an instant, I'm seeing like things leave my body, which just feels good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just hydrate.
Yes.
Because
What happened?
I had a very bad experience. We
no.
we got our sauna. I started falling in love with it. I started using it, every day.
For
And-
way too long.
Oh, okay. I've heard 20 minutes is the sweet spot.
Okay. Then yeah, I was a little long. I probably was like 35, 40.
Okay.
And doing it pretty much daily, at least 5 times a week. And then I did it like that for a month or 6 weeks. And then I got a kidney stone.
Oh.
And it was the worst 3 days of my life. I was in the hospital.
Oh my
and
gosh.
He literally came to my hospital while I was working, and I
Oh
like
my
went down to the
gosh.
ER and saw him.
yeah, it was terrible.
Wow.
We can leave that door open too, if she wants to run in and out.
And yeah, I think I was drinking water, but probably
drink
just
enough
not
water.
enough for as much as I was
Well, that's what I was
Those
saying.
little
It's like,
things.
it's water is great, but like we can only drink so much water, right?
Yeah.
Like we only have an appetite for so much water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we're all classified as like mostly dehydrated, it's because we're missing more than water.
Yeah.
Like we've got to put something in the water. So it's like, habit stacking. We're now multitasking with our water, which I'm into.
Oh, I love habit stacking.
Yeah.
Stacking
Did I
things
miss any
and
good tips?
doing them at once.
No, I just said I gave up coffee and I'm now a
Okay.
matcha girly.
Okay.
I'm getting.
Yeah, you're kind of doing
I'm
that.
actually at the point now. Matcha was like I had to get used to the taste of it, but now I'm at the point where, like, the matcha that I used to like doesn't taste good. Like the sugary.
It's
like,
Oh
too
yeah,
sweet.
yeah,
from,
yeah.
like,
You're a
you know,
real matcha girly now.
Yeah, now I need to like actually make it at home because I actually went off coffee for a while because my anxiety was really bad.
Yeah.
And like was just completely caffeine free. And now I've like started. I never felt anything from caffeine. It was more like just a habit. I would just like drink it.
So you never felt any? No.
The only thing I would ever feel is anxiety. I never like felt like
Focused or energized or any of that?
Yeah, I don't have that either.
yeah
No way.
Yeah, I can drink coffee.
before bed.
And you're still this?
Yeah.
Because you're this.
Yeah, it doesn't. It does. I don't feel. No, it doesn't give me energy. It doesn't keep me awake. It doesn't do any of that. I just truthfully
way.
just love the taste of coffee.
I know. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. What's the difference between why is matcha better than
Like
coffee?
a quarter of the amount of milligrams of coffee or of caffeine.
Oh, okay.
So and it's different. Like from what I understand, there's this thing called L-theanine in it, which is more of like it's like a sustaining kind of like caffeine high, as opposed to like from my experience when I drink coffee, I'm like, here we are.
Right.
And then I'm like freaking out for a moment because I'm like, if I don't have anything to do right now, it's almost like what you should drink before a workout. Like
Right.
the coffee should be a pre-workout,
pre-workout.
or illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
One or
crazy
the
how
other.
differently it affects people.
Yeah.
Like when my friend Jason has it, he turns into a spaz.
Machine.
yeah, he'll have like an espresso martini and he's gone.
Good night. Yeah. No, that
It's
would
like
be.
it's like he's wasted.
Yeah. No, that could
He's
be
just
me.
really hyper.
Oh, he can't stop talking. It's just like, it's like
Oh my gosh.
He doesn't
guys.
listen to this, so he's never gonna hear it. It's fine.
Coffee is such a nightmare for me right now because I haven't had it in so long that like if I have it, you have to take my phone away. You have to take my phone away because I become a liability to myself. The fact that I could just post on a now platform to many people and you have no idea what's going to happen. Like, forget alcohol.
Right.
Coffee is dangerous for me.
Oh
Like,
my
it's
gosh.
a truth serum. It puts me in a gear that, like, I can't even see. I can't rewatch my stories. I might as well just, like,
oh, she's
Yep.
on the cappuccino again.
yep.
Going crazy on Instagram
Yep.
Live.
Yep.
That's so good. Okay, last question before we do Lemon 7. Is there like one, like a hidden wellness thing that maybe most people don't know about, or you're like, does that make sense? Like more of like a,
Like a niche, like
yeah, I was
something-
going to say off brand, but not, yeah, like, you know, we know about like the saunas and
Sure,
that's like
sure.
very talked about. Is there something that is like,
I
in
don't
there
think
for you?
people talk enough about like stress, period. I was giving Zoe an example earlier. A lot of people stress, and this goes back to like that stage of my life where I was like really hyper focused, but a lot of people stress about wellness. It's like wellness is not supposed to be stressed about. Like,
Yeah.
don't stress. Like that's step one when we talk about wellness. So like when I think about stress, I'm like, okay, and I teach my kids this all the time because we're dealing with a lot of big feelings and we still have big feelings, right? So like,
Yeah.
what do I tell my kids? We're going to take a deep breath, calm our bodies, think about the things we're grateful for. And that to me is wellness. Like that's the core of wellness. We have to be in touch with ourselves because no one is going to make us happy. We have to know like how to unlock our own joy. And really that comes back to like, how do we mitigate the environmental stressors that like are always going to exist no matter what?
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
So like what makes us feel our best and then tap into that. And that is wellness.
Love that.
I love that.
Wow. Yeah.
I love
I
that.
just think the simplification of wellness is where it is. I
Yeah.
think we've overcomplicated all this
true.
stuff and the conversation is now so nuanced and it's like, what is your 18 step this? What is your morning routine? It's like, nah, the routine is what's intuitive to
Yeah.
you today in this moment.
Yeah.
Things change. That's life. Like we have to be able to roll with the punches. That's when you feel your best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I literally, when you said routines, I literally just saw a TikTok that was like my 18 step.
Paraffin hand, the
hand
I
routine.
cannot.
What? What is
But that
it?
is literally, come on.
Yeah, it's for the TikTok.
Yeah.
But I was like, how do you how first of all, how are your hands even alive still?
Yeah.
What is going on? What's
It was like
happening?
this hand. It'll pop up somewhere because my
It
phone's
was
listening.
wild.
To it. It was literally like this hand care routine that this girl did.
Oh.
Her hands looked amazing. But
18-step
18 steps.
hand care routine?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, her hands better look fantastic.
They did. I will give her that. They did look pretty fantastic. But I love that. Okay, awesome. Let's do our little Lemon 7 segment.
All right.
You want to start us off, babe?
Sure do.
Okay.
All right. Number 1. What movie or song title best describes your mental health today?
You guys only heard the first thing that came to mind. I'm not good with movies. I'm not good with song titles. I'm not good with things like pop culture titles, artists, anything. But growing up, I loved Dave Matthews, and I heard "Crash Into Me," and I was like, "Wait, that doesn't resonate with my mental health." But we're going with it.
Hilarious.
I was like, "Wait, Hanson Brothers. What was that? Spice Girls. Come on, Daniella." Oh my gosh, that's it.
Hanson Brothers. You don't even know who the Hanson Brothers are, do you?
I'm bad with names. Maybe
Girl,
if I heard
same.
something-
But it was just the core memories in your elementary. Like that's the last thing I remember. Actually, those years. Now I'm like, what is most important? What's going to keep me alive?
Yeah. I feel that.
So funny.
Great.
Okay.
Crash.
So, Mbop or Crash?
That's too good. Okay, number 2 is how open are you with people in your life when struggling?
Oh, open. I'm cracked open. I like to say that all
I
the
could have
time.
guessed that one.
I am a cracked open individual. Happy to be here. What do you want to know?
Yeah.
Great. That's
so
great.
good.
People are one or the other. Like
Totally.
Whoever's in that chair when we ask that question, it's either that. It's like, oh yeah, I'm an open book. Like I, don't care. Or it's not at all. Like
Sure.
I don't talk to anybody about anything.
I think there's something to be learned from both sides, because the problem with being cracked open is then you have to deal with the cracked open hangover, where you realize the next day or 10 minutes from that conversation what just happened, and I wasn't even on coffee. You know what I mean? Like you're just like, wait, this is naturally me, and I'm going to spill it all. Like why? For what?
Yeah.
You know, what do I gain other than the headache of now people know too much?
Yeah. That's so good.
That's funny. All right, number 3. If you could only follow 3 social media accounts, can be across platforms, but just 3 accounts, what would they be?
Ooh. Oh my goodness. Wow, you guys, I'm really trying to not like consume too much these days. Well, I love home stuff.
Okay.
I love this one realtor who I've never met.
Stop. Wait, who is it?
I want to say it's like, oh my God, I'm going to picture. You know when you like look at your Instagram handles and you're like, it must be, and you say it as one word.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
actually 3 words, but in my mind, it's just that one handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, is it like San Jose something? He's a realtor, I believe, in LA, but like in the cool areas of LA, but he does all the Spanish homes.
Oh.
And let me tell you, this guy gets them all.
I've had to have seen, because I love those accounts too.
Incredible homes. I'm like,
they're
I don't want to
all, like,
live there, but
Spanish?
now I do. Like come to our neck of the woods, bro. Like go find me a Spanish over here.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all Spanish.
Wow.
He's the guy.
That's like he's the Spanish
He's the guy.
home
And he's that's all that came to mind. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That we'll talk about like Plant You. I think she does great content. Some of these creators in the food space, I'm like, girl, you got the sauce, and I just like the editing and the it's so good.
Maybe Daniella's Digest.
Oh, there it is. I do thoroughly enjoy our content, I will say.
We'll
I
put
think
that
it's
in
a
your
good
top 3.
blend.
Yeah. You guys are good content. Okay, number 4 is what is your favorite form of self-care?
Right now it's Pilates. It's Pilates because like it's 45 minutes, no phone. I'm challenged. I like anything that like I'm doing that's hard enough that my brain can only think about that and nothing else.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe
Have
that's
you
why I
guys
like
ever
it.
done cupping?
Yes.
Yeah, but only for injuries. I've only done it when I've had
Yeah.
an injury.
Yeah, I just kind of experienced it. I think I did it years ago, but recently I go to this one lady now every 2 weeks and she'll cut me once in a while. And I'm like, do it again. Like, you know how they crank it? I'm like, one more crank. And like the harder, I'm like, the more my brain goes to lunch. And I'm like, see ya in an hour,
What is it supposed to do? What's
Well,
the benefit?
they say that it like extracts a lot of toxins. It like pulls the blood to the surface and creates like more circulation. I'm probably just
I think that's
pulling this stuff out of my booty now, but
no. I think
that was
that's
too visual.
I think that's probably right.
Huh. Well, this episode is called TMI.
That's
so
right. Okay, we're
just
going there.
lay
This
it
is what
on.
happens. You guys invited me over to your nice home, and here I am just telling you about my bowel movements and what comes out and what goes in. Anyways,
It's very normal conversation
Like
for
glad
us
I
to
felt
floppy. What was it? Floppy.
oh, floppy colon. Don't you
Floppy
forget.
colon.
I've told people that over the years, and they're like, I don't think that's a technical term.
Right.
I'm like,
Floppy
what do you mean?
colon
I
does
ran
not
with that
sound
for
correct.
10 years.
I was diagnosed.
What's the opposite of a floppy colon?
Stiff.
All right, moving on. Enough colon talk.
The word stiff, it's not used enough.
Such an underrated word.
Oh my
Stiff
gosh.
colon.
Yeah.
Number 5. What would you say is the most misunderstood thing about you?
I don't know. I don't even, the most misunderstood. I was going to say that, oh, this is probably it. Some people, like when I do a cameo, the feedback I'll get sometimes when they like go to send a little thank you note is, you're not mean at all. Like
Okay,
she's like
they
so
just
not mean.
They assume.
And I'm like,
You're-
oh my gosh.
Her
Wow.
character was
Yeah.
Got it.
very much
So
like
Yeah.
that.
It's like, yeah, sometimes we play characters
Yeah.
that are not like ourselves.
Yeah. When they pay me to be mean, I be mean.
Amen to that.
That's good.
Number 6 is who has had the most positive impact on your mental health.
Ooh, my aunt was a huge influence growing up. Yeah,
Aw.
huge. Like my mom has 2 sisters and a brother, and everyone is cool in their own way. But my one aunt who didn't have kids was able to really be present for a lot of the cousins in the family. And she was the one who had like the deck of angel cards and like was very spiritual and in touch with like just all of that. And I didn't necessarily have that. So I gravitated a lot towards her. And when I was homeschooled in 8th grade, she was a realtor. And I always had a love for real estate, even as a young age. Like I've always just been the type, there was a channel 6 growing up, like on my cable, whatever provider, that was only homes for sale, just pictures. And I would just watch that as a kid. Like what was wrong with me?
Do you have your real estate license?
I do, but I don't do anything with it. I just have it because I was just
Oh,
obsessed
wow.
with it. But because she was a realtor, she used to be off like, most of the day, and I was homeschooled. So it'd be like, as long as I get my work done, like, let's go to Malibu. We went and had lunch it was just like
Aw.
and she was just like this metaphysical, like just, there was a vibe that I needed.
Yeah.
It really helped like nurture that side of me.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Aw.
I love that.
All right. Last but not least, number 7. If you could go back to one moment in your life, what moment would that be, and what would you say to yourself?
Oh my gosh. I just talked about this. Early on when I was dating my husband, I wanted so badly to impress him because I had never like fallen for someone like so hard. And I told him this last night while we were watching Perfect Match
Oh, love it.
because Harry lied.
Oof.
He lied, apparently. I don't know, the verdict's still out. But anyways, I remember trying to paint this image of myself that wasn't who I really was because I wanted him to only see me as this one way that he thought that I was. And I was like, well, I'm leaning in, like this is who I am, And remember him asking me about a past like relationship, like a hookup. And I was like, oh, it was nothing. And like, it was nothing. Like looking back, I'm like, I could have just told him the whole story, right? But because I didn't want him to like think that I would do more with this person, I was just like holding back information. And eventually, because I cannot do that, like I literally have such a conscious, I end up telling him and my world shattered. Like I felt like the worst person on the planet. And watching that episode of Perfect Match triggered me because I was like, dude, if I could go back, I would have just been like, no, it wasn't just a kiss, and like been transparent to the point where I was like, I should have had no problem saying what I said because we were in love. Like, what difference would it made if I said there was more there, right? And like because I didn't, I felt awful about myself, and I felt like it changed his view of my character and like made him think that like I could make a white lie or a lie, and I hated that. I hated that moment so much because I was like, for years to come, I thought I had to like make up for it, even though like, that was probably just immature thinking. And I was just so in love that I was scared that like, anything that something could happen to us. But my lesson to myself was like, just transparency is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
I love that answer. That's so sweet. Well, thanks for coming on. This was such a fun episode.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
We really
to listen
kind
to
of
it.
There was a lot.
We covered.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
covered a lot of things.
Floppy, stiff.
It's TMI. All of the things.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming on.
you.
So special.